My name is Colleen Histon, and my husband Michael Histon and I own Shepherds Manor Creamery. We produce sheep's milk cheeses, both raw milk and pasteurized cheeses from our own dairy sheep, and I also produce sheep's milk soap. We have been running our operation for 2 years. Basically, this is our first full year of operation. Last year we had just started, and we had a very small season, producing just a couple hundred rounds of cheese. This year I have produced 500 wheels of cheese. The hay is purchased from different farms. You always have to be covered, your arms, legs covered, because you usually pay for it if you don't, because you get scratched up. Always, and it's always the hottest time of the year when you're doing that. But it's not easy to unload all that hay and stack it. Stacking is a trick in itself, to try to stack it correctly so it doesn't fall back down. We have always been advocates of staying clean. I believe in cleanliness everywhere. And being in this type of business, there's a lot of scrutiny by the state to stay clean and to keep bacteria out of the dairy. We gather the lambs. They come into the run. We call them in, and they'll come into the run because they know that that's when they're going to get fed. This year we milked 50, so we had 5 groups that came through. It would take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes generally to milk. The process, once they come into the parlor and they go into their little chute, which they're locked in. They have a head gate that they're locked into. We then spray wash with iodine their teeth. We let the iodine sit on their teeth for 30 seconds, no less than 30 seconds, so that it can work. And then we wash it off individually, each one by one, with a paper towel, a new paper towel. And then they're thrown away. They're never reused. Then we start hooking the lines up, and we do the milking. Cheese making process is done every 3 days. Then it's time to put starter culture in. There are different cultures that are used depending on the type of cheese that you're making. Particular cheese that I make the most, I use 4 different cultures. I stir the milk for at least 5 minutes, sometimes 10, sometimes 15. The longer you stir, actually, the better. The bacteria is what gives you the flavor, and the rennet is what will coagulate it and make it into cheese. You'll take a knife and put it in it, slice it into it, and make sure that it has formed a solid. That's what you want. Solid. Good. I have 2 cheese knives. One is a vertical knife, one is a horizontal cutting knife. I take each one of the knives one at a time, and I slowly put them into the milk, and I cut through in a circular motion. I cut through the milk, generally 1 time through all of it. With only milking 50, we don't have a lot of milk. We're only, at the beginning of the season, we were probably getting somewhere around 50 gallons every 3 days, and now we're down, now that we're almost at the end here, we're only getting maybe 15 gallons. So it really, really goes down over the course of the season. You want to heat it up till it gets to around 90 degrees. And what you want to get is something that's more solid, that holds together, that you can take in your hand and you can form into a ball. And at that point, I'm generally getting my molds out and I'm sanitizing the molds and putting them on the table. I use cheesecloth that I line the molds with, so they're easier to work with. And I start pouring out the whey. There's probably 50-60% of what's in the kettle is whey, if not more actually. And you just start pouring some of it out. I pour probably 2/3 of it out. And then I have a colander that I use by hand, and I start scooping out the curds, and I put them into my lined molds. I fill all of my molds, and once I'm finished filling all of the molds and I've removed all of the curds out of the vat, then I put tops, they're called followers, on top of each one of the molds, and they are then lined up on the press. And we have a compressor, and the compressor will work the press and press down. I turn the compressor on and it will press against the lined up molds. We have a pressure of 25 pounds, 15 to 25 pounds on the cheese. I let it sit for about 10-15 minutes, and then I turn them. And when I turn them, I put a batch ID on them, and they're batch ID'd in the order of making. So however many recipes I have, 20, 21, 22, 30, whatever the number is, what recipe I'm at is the batch ID for that batch. I put the numbers on after they've been turned, and I put them back on the press. In the meantime, I start cleaning the room. So we have to clean the vat, and then I have to clean the floor, clean the table. So I do all that in between while I'm waiting for that press to continue to work the cheese. And then at that point, it is ready to go into a salt brine that I have in the aging room. The aging room is kept at a temperature of 55 to 57 degrees. Once the cheese is completed, you need to move it into a room where the temperature is below 40 in refrigeration. At that point, it will still continue to age ever so slightly, not like it was when it was in the 55 to 57 degree room. You brush the cheese twice a week after the first 30 days, once the mold starts to grow, so that you can distribute the good mold on the cheese and also keep the bad mold off of the cheese. Well, Michael and I have learned the hard way how to do everything. There's a lot of self-satisfaction in doing a job and completing a job and having the end result be exactly what you wanted it to be.